You know, we meet on Sunday too.
Rotary meets on Sunday? Okay. Dr. Stewart will lead us in the next plan.
Thank you. Sing out, I'm hoarse today. Join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we and the twilight's last gleam through stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallant in street, and the rockets red flare, the bombs bursting in air. Yea, prove through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land and of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
David Hanks has our invocation.
I'm just going to stay down here.
I wanted to share something with y'all. One of my favorite people, Ronald Reagan, a quote from him: live simply, love generously, care deeply, speak kindly, leave the rest to God. So with that being said, bow with me, please. Dear Lord, I just thank you for this group of Rotarians and their motto of service to self. I thank you for this beautiful day that we can come together and make a difference in Dothan. Be with our national, local, and state leaders that they may apply common sense to the decisions they need to make this a better country. Bless the food we partake, the nourishment of our bodies. Amen.
Amen.
Gary Duffy, Family Road.
Sorry, you all stay here. I'll turn up the transmitter, make sure that y'all can hear. Birthdays, we've got birthday boy Jim Whaley on January 26th, Adam Roberson on January 29th, anniversary 3 to celebrate, Tim Shirley and Debbie January 23rd, James Etheridge and Alicia on January 25th, and Michael Freak, Dr. Michael Freak and Jennifer, January 26th. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you.
Christopher King, introduce our guest.
I think I'm taking it over.
Ah, surprise, surprise.
Yes.
You like this one?
Hello. Oh. Sorry, y'all. All right, we are happy to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, would you please stand up and remain standing until all visitors are recognized? We've got Mr. Brandy White, guest of Dennis Cove. Joe Williams, guest of Paul Lee. Alex Reynolds, guest of myself. Sean Gibson, guest of Bruce McNeil. Abby Birch, guest of Dean Mitchell. Scott Harris, guest of Paul Lee. Carolyn Byrne, guest of Paul Lee. And lastly, we got Chris Dixon, guest of Greg Hendricks. Are there any other visitors we may have missed? All right, thank you for visiting with the Dothan Rotary Club today.
Ambassador Rose, Steve Holland. New pot, 75.
An accidental.
Last four digits. 7933.
799.
So y'all together.
Four clubs. They say they're going.
Next time.
We have several Paul Harris presentations today. These are not first time, but second, third, fourth bill. Many times over Paul Harris Fellowship. This recognition has been decorating our Rotary Foundation's passionate supporters for many years. It's a proud tradition that honors the memory of our past Rotary International President, Paul Harris. I believe that you'd be deeply moved to see the Rotarians and friends of our foundation have done and continue to do in the name of this organization. In order to be honored as a multiple Paul Harris, must contribute additional sums of $1,000 to our annual foundation Polio Plus or approved foundation grant. These funds can be used to honor others while being applied to the amazing work that has distinguished our Rotary Foundation as an organization that provides hope, health, and peace around the world. Becoming a Paul Harris Fellow is a tremendous accomplishment and honor, and multiplying that generosity multiplies the community impact made with these contributions. So much good begins with these gifts. Wells are constructed, children are vaccinated against illnesses, senior citizens are afforded meals and services, children and adults are educated and given professional opportunities. The work is vital to the children, families, and communities who benefit. Only when people's basic needs are met can they pursue the larger elements of human life, including conflict resolution, community building, and peace. Paul Harris Fellows, in a very tangible way, provide stepping stones to a more harmonious world. We have several Paul Harris Plus, and the list is here. And as I call your name, if you would come up, and Jenny will present your pins. Bill Castle. Before we could give Bill his Paul Harris +2, he became a Paul Harris +3. I'm not sure that's ever happened before.
You want to stay up here?
Please,
You're all
yes,
together? You want to
yes.
stay?
Dale Goodwin, Paul Harris +4. George Flowers, Paul Harris +7. Wayne Palmer, Paul Harris +1. And Archie Solomon, Paul Harris +4. If you would all stand, I propose a standing ovation.
One, two, three. All right, thanks.
Sheila, before you take that next bite, if you, Sheila Azar, please come forward. Stand there. Sheila received 2 awards this past weekend at our Rotary Mid-Year Conference, and one of them during her term is the Rotary Citation Award, and I want to just read what that is. It's the most important award for Rotary clubs. It recognizes clubs that pursue activities that support organizational priorities. It's just like Nick Sager says, don't worry about the score, just what you do next. And Sheila did that. You have to choose several different goals for the club. For example, club membership, service participation, new member sponsorship, leader development, Rotary Fellowship participation, Rotary Action Groups, district conference attendance, and have to meet those goals. And Sheila did that, and it has been recorded, which is not always easy. So that happened. Sheila made that happen last year. And then also, as a lead up to the Purple Pinky that we did this year, the club last year had tremendous participation and would have outdone double what any other club in our area did. So there's an award for that too.
If I could just say, I had the privilege of receiving the awards, but they're really recognition for all of you and what you have accomplished and continue to accomplish. And so I was honored to be able to receive the awards, but the awards truly belong to this club of wonderful, generous individuals. Thank you for allowing me to serve in that capacity.
Art Morris has an announcement about our senior citizen lunch.
Good news, our senior citizens luncheon has been rescheduled. As most of you know, it had to be canceled in December due to some unforeseen last minute circumstances. But we've got it back on track now. It will be Tuesday, February the 7th. That's in President Greg wanted me to remind you that it is Tuesday, February the 7th, not Monday. So it will begin at 11:55. That is not when we need to be there. We need to be there earlier than that so we can call the seniors and help serve them at their tables. And it's going to be at the National Peanut Festival in the Alpha building there. So we're getting back on track. It will be sort of a Christmas themed program. It'll be Christmas in February, but they didn't get to have the program in December, so that's why we're doing it now. We don't want them to miss that. So any of you that can be there, I plan to be there earlier in the morning, but if you can show up around between 10 and 10:30 or so, kind of help with setting up or the final setup of the decorations and tables, things like that. Get those in place, and the seniors will start coming in. We need to help them get their places and get their food going. Look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
It's not many times you're in charge of a project and you get to do it twice, like Art has this one. Good job, Art. Several years ago, I was at a social function at a friend's house. Benita was playing, who's a 40-year friend. And Benita is a dance instructor, loves to dance, and she's good at it. She and I talked. I said, Benita, what do you think about restarting the Rotary Ball? And she just thought that was a great idea. Benita is the president of the Tuesday Club this year. When I first moved to Dothan in the 1980s, I worked at a place called Southern Business System, and the owner there, Bruce Bolden, was a Tuesday Rotarian. And back at that time, the Tuesday Club had a Rotary Ball, big event. I was 25 years old. I just thought that was the greatest thing since sliced bread to be able to go. We put together a committee in 2019 and we were all ready to launch this, and then our friend COVID came to town. And I thought it was gone forever, but the Tuesday Club has resurrected this, and we have decided to join with them. Our own Mary Beth Meadows is spearheading this for our club. This is the announcement. It'll be April the 22nd. It's a black tie event held at Bella's. All the businesses here need to buy a table, that's seat 10, and there are only 300 tickets available. We think it'll be a fun time. The board was very concerned about a couple of things, and I just want to mention that. That this would not interfere with the White Elephant sale proceeds. So this will not be a fundraiser where we're having a silent auction or anything of that nature. I think they will have a raffle there, but that's it. Didn't want to interfere with our support for WRC. It's on a volunteer basis. No one will have any charges on their Rotary bill for that. Just anyone who'd like to go who enjoys that, great. And if that's not their thing, then that's great too. Only 300 tickets are available, and I feel like they'll sell out pretty quickly. Mary Beth Maddox, whose email is up there, can contact her. She will be here next week with tickets, with availability of tickets. All right, Dean Mitchell has our program for today.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to see everybody. Happy New Year. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I wanted to introduce you to HudsonAlpha Wiregrass employee number 2. Y'all know I'm HudsonAlpha Wiregrass employee number 1. Abby Birch. Abby, if you wouldn't mind standing. Abby is our, thank you. Abby is our new Wiregrass lab manager. Abby is a graduate of Rehoboth High School. She went to Troy and got her science degree in biology, and she's been working with Dothan Peds for the last several years. When Dr. Clevenger and I were interviewing Abby, one of the questions we asked her was, why would you want to come work for HudsonAlpha? And she gave an answer that I think will resonate with all of us. She said, I love Dothan, my family's here, I want to live in Dothan the rest of my life, but for me to have an opportunity to really be a scientist, I would have had to move to Huntsville or Birmingham. And guess what? She's not moving to Huntsville or Birmingham. She's going to stay right here. So thank you, Abby. Welcome to the team. We're glad to have you. Our guest speaker today is Ms. Kelly Wees. Kelly is the Vice President for Educational Outreach at HudsonAlpha Institute for Biotechnology in Huntsville. Kelly's been there since 2008. Kelly got her undergraduate degree from Auburn University and her master's degree in genetic counseling from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. She's been leading our education team for the last year, and she's fostering a genetic literate society and training Alabama's future workforce. Kelly is leading the effort here in the Wiregrass at both the Dothan City schools and Houston County schools. And I've gotten to know Kelly over the past several months, and I can tell you she is passionate, she's caring, she's smart, she's exactly the person that we need to help our kids learn about opportunities in DNA and genetics and science. And I know she's going to do a fantastic job working with our community and our education system. And Kelly, we're glad to have you here in Dothan, and thank you for your commitment to helping our area grow.
All right, good afternoon. It is afternoon now. So thank you, Dean, for that introduction. Can y'all hear me okay in the back? I'm good. All right. So I'm Kelly, and it's just on a personal note, Dean talked about Abby and about her desire to stay at home and the opportunity to have a job that lets you stay at home but do a high-tech job. And I'm that same story a few years back. So, Dean talked about, she could move to Huntsville for a high-tech biotech job, which is true. But when I was coming up through school, there wasn't a lot of biotech in Huntsville. There was a lot of space, a lot of engineering. I'm a child of engineers. I was born and raised in Huntsville. But I found a lot of science and specifically genetics. And when I decided to go into that, I remember telling my family, my now husband and boyfriend, I don't think we can be back in Huntsville. There's no genetics here. We're going to have to go somewhere else. And that was the same time HudsonAlpha in Huntsville opened. So I got that opportunity to come back to Huntsville and be at home and have a career there. And that's the same drive and the same end game that we're trying to establish here in providing both research opportunities, business opportunities, and the education piece that comes alongside that to get kids excited and giving them the knowledge and the training they need to step into the jobs they're going to be growing and developing here in the Wiregrass area. And we're really excited to have the opportunity to come alongside the community here and build that together. So over the next couple of minutes, I just wanted to introduce you to me, to HudsonAlpha, and to what the HudsonAlpha Wiregrass is. We only have a couple of minutes here today, so I hope this is the beginning of larger conversations that as we go forward, if you've got questions, reach out to us and we can continue the dialogue about what this means for Dothan and the larger Wiregrass community. So just to introduce a little bit about what HudsonAlpha is, HudsonAlpha started with the two gentlemen that are up there at the top of this screen. On the left is a gentleman named Jim Hudson, obviously Hudson of HudsonAlpha, and on the right side, that's a gentleman named Lonnie McMillan. Might be less obvious, but he is the alpha of HudsonAlpha. His last name's McMillan, though. But these are two businessmen in Huntsville. They got to know each other well. Jim Hudson comes from a science background. He had a company called Research Genetics that he built from the ground up in Huntsville before it got sold to a larger institution. But Lonnie McMillan, his big company was in telecommunications, a company called Adrian. Was familiar with that. But together they had this idea to create something that was brand new and novel and to bring biotech to the Huntsville community. And what was so novel about it is that HudsonAlpha has this goal of bringing together research, industry, and education all kind of under one roof on one campus. So instead of having research happening all in academic university settings, and you've got business and research parks in places where those two don't intersect well, what happens if you bring them together, where you've got CEOs of companies and faculty scientists that are eating in the same cafes, that are in the same meetings, and letting that information flow much more quickly between those groups, ultimately getting those discoveries to people, to benefiting people much more quickly. So that was what they did, and that was the birth of HudsonAlpha. It was conceived in 2006. We opened our doors in 2008. I've had the pleasure of kind of growing up professionally at HudsonAlpha and also being alongside as HudsonAlpha has grown and developed. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary this year with a lot of excitement, and with that, the launch of HudsonAlpha Wiregrass. This is a picture of where we are today. So we opened in 2008 with one building, but we're sitting on a much larger campus. I don't know if you can tell just how big of nerds we are from this picture, but we are pretty nerdy, and we really like DNA. Can you tell that there's a park that runs down the middle of our campus up in Huntsville, where the sidewalks actually make a double helix? Can you see it maybe? Yeah. We put the double helix on just about anything that we can. So if you ever find yourself in Huntsville, come take a walk on our 0.6 mile double helix sidewalk. But HudsonAlpha now has grown into 6 buildings on campus, one of which is a large greenhouse. We've got lots of education space and many more research labs and companies than we did in the beginning. But what makes Hudson Alpha special, and this is really what we're also replicating down here in Hudson Alpha Wiregrass, is this combination of research, innovation in industry, and education. And where we are strongest is at the middle of those circles where we're all working together and not in silos. So our goal is to make genomic discoveries, thinking about the unique recipes of human life, whether that is humans, whether that's animals, whether that's plants and agriculture, which is a big focus of what we're doing down here, and taking that knowledge to ultimately improve life on Earth, and to take those discoveries and move them into the products that we need to actually make that possible. So DNA sequencing is at the core of lots of stuff that we do. Not to take you back to biology class, that's not my goal, but every living thing has DNA, right? Every one of us, every animal, every plant, every bacteria, right? It's all coded for our DNA. And changes in that recipe can control things like whether someone gets sick with a genetic disease. It also can control whether or not a peanut is resistant to a particular pest, or whether it can grow in really, really dry conditions. And so that is what we're ultimately trying to figure out through the research at HudsonAlpha. This is a look. These are our faculty. These are our scientists that run laboratories. HudsonAlpha, we are not a university. We don't grant degrees. These are our faculty that run laboratories, write for grants, and are making new discoveries. I'll talk a little bit more in depth about one in particular that's going to play a really big role in the Wiregrass. Just this last year, I mentioned we have a brand new greenhouse on our campus, and we celebrated the opening of this Center for Plant Science and Sustainable Agriculture. We have a whole core of faculty that are really, really passionate about understanding agricultural genetics, whether that is peanuts or pecan trees or a whole bunch of other plants as well, and using that information to make agriculture more sustainable and feed the world. Also at HudsonAlpha, though, we have companies. So up here, I know they're really tiny, but these are the logos of our 50+ companies now that exist on our campus. So these companies, they are not HudsonAlpha employees. These are for-profit companies that are tenants. They rent space to do business on our campus because they see value in being there and being around our researchers and being around each other and being able to gain benefit from that collaboration and those kind of random collisions of conversations that occur. They're all biotech in some space. Some are pharmaceutical companies. Some of them are diagnostic testing companies. Some of them are ag tech companies. They run a big gamut. But this is that model of having the research of the industry on roof. Some of them spun out from our discoveries, where the discoveries made in a company is created from that. Others are companies that have been established companies that have come to HudsonAlpha because they see value in it. Some are really small, literally one person at a desk. There are other companies that are really, really big, have hundreds and hundreds of employees. This is just a graph to show you HudsonAlpha over time. So we opened in 2008, where at that point, most of the people on our campus were HudsonAlpha people. They were our researchers, our support staff, our education teams are part of our nonprofit. And the red bars are our company employees. And you can see over time where we are today. Most people that work on our campus are part of the for-profit company side. And that's the model that we expected to see, and we expect that to continue as more companies come on. But what I am here to talk largely about, and what I'm the most passionate about, is our education work, and that's what I get the pleasure of leading. This is a picture of a wall up in our education space at HudsonAlpha. This is education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. And it's about creating those opportunities for students to get excited about science, not just memorizing and learning what they need to learn, but getting excited about it and see why it matters and where they can fit into science in the future. So education means a lot of things at HudsonAlpha. We work really heavily in several different domains, and I don't have time to talk about all of them today. But specifically, let me highlight some of the things that will be coming with us down to the HudsonAlpha Wiregrass. One of the big things we do is offer student experiences. So this includes things like field trip opportunities, where students come to Hudson Alpha and get to do activities at summer camps, that's multiple week high school experiences in the summertime for students to come and engage and learn new lab skills and learn deeper content that they would be getting during their school curriculums. We work a lot with teachers, providing professional development for teachers, both during the school year through one-day workshops where we go across the state, as well as week-long teacher academies where teachers can come to us in the summertime for a week and really dig into the content. We offer internships at the undergraduate level for people to come to Hudson Alpha and work in our labs and our companies and gain that kind of more in-depth, authentic work experience. And we do a lot of public education, trying to, as Dean mentioned, having a genomically literate public that isn't scared of genetics, that can engage with it and knows where they can go to get good information about what they're hearing in the world around them. In education, we track our impact in terms of how many people we reach every year. And these were our numbers from last year. We like to show this through bead jars, where we get together every year and fill a jar with all the beads that indicate all the people that we've reached in education in the previous year. It's a huge number, and we're really proud of it. But this runs a whole gamut from students that spend an entire summer with us for 8 weeks, they're with us full time, all the way to people that consume some of our websites or download an app that we don't know who they are, and everywhere in between. But yes, last year our education team, which is about 14 people at this point, it's 1.7 million individuals that were reached in some way by our education team. So Hudson Alpha Wiregrass, what we're really excited about is that we are going to bring all three of those areas, our research, our industry, and our education teams down to this area and specifically work in the space of agricultural genomics. So thinking about what it means to understand the DNA recipe of agriculture, and specifically the first, so it can be no surprise to anyone here, the first thing we're going to be working with is peanuts. Right? Really important. And we have a faculty member that is, he is a worldwide leading expert in peanut genomics. So that's it's kind of like a match made in heaven, right? And so thinking about bringing those down here and creating that same synergistic ecosystem of our three mission areas down here, specifically in ag tech. So this is the person I've been alluding to. This is Josh. This is a picture of Josh Clevenger. He has a PhD in plant genomics, and peanuts really is his area of expertise. And he's got a lot of knowledge. Hudson Alpha has a lot of equipment and tools that he needs to drive the science forward and understanding the traits of peanuts. And ultimately, his plan is to use genomics, use the study of genomics to more quickly develop new peanut varieties that are uniquely tailored for this area and are developed in this area. We also are working alongside, so this picture, I want to introduce some of the faces that you'll be seeing and hearing from more. This is Carter Wells. He's our Vice President of Economic Development, and he and his team are working on that industry side of it, starting to build relationships and seeing, what are the types of industries in that ag tech space could be developed and grown here in this community. And as those companies start being developed, his team is really great at coming alongside them and mentoring them and building an entire kind of cohort of biotech companies in an area. And then my goal was to have a couple pictures show up one at a time, but animations aren't working, so forgive me for the kind of jumbledness on the screen there. But in the education space, the things that we're going to be doing, the things that we're already doing, we are working alongside a number of the local schools to actually help with that research that Alex was talking about. So starting March 6th, so in a little more than a month, we will be having students at a whole set of local schools planting peanuts in their classroom. That's going to be the very beginning of Josh's research. And so it's this really novel concept of bringing together research and education and allowing y'all's students in classrooms to contribute to that research in an authentic way, where they are growing the plants that are part of the research, that they're helping collect samples and learn from them. And then ultimately, when the peanuts that they planted get sequenced, their recipe gets read, the students get to look at the data and get to be part of the decision-making of which peanuts should go on to the next round of process. What's most important? What traits does my peanut have? And am I going to advocate for this peanut plant going forward, or maybe not? And so to bring students alongside that is really, really cool. We've not done that before. We've been, part of why I'm down here this week is working with schools and ironing out all of those kinks before we're down here in a month or so walking through this with the students. But we're hoping that, and right now we're doing that with a couple of schools, but fast forward a couple of years, there are classes in all the schools across the area that are engaging in this project and are part of developing the next best peanut variety for the Wiregrass region. In addition to that, over time, we're going to be standing up all those student experiences that I talked about, where students in your area will be coming to a location to do field trips in genomics and biotechnology. That there will be options for summer camps and high school student programs in the area, much like that we can do at our Huntsville campus, that will be happening down here as well. Teacher workshops, that's starting next month. If you guys are teachers, know teachers, and hopefully you've heard about it, we've got a high school teacher workshop and a middle school teacher workshop happening in February in Dothan. And that's something that we'll be continuing to do across this area into the coming years. And then finally, internships. So as those companies start beginning to develop in the area, and as the research starts developing more and more in the area, there will be opportunities for students at certainly the undergraduate level, but also at maybe the high school levels as well, to get inserted into that and get those workforce experiences. So that's the look at what we're doing in education. So I mentioned the student participation in the peanut breeding process. That's starting now, and that will continue to roll out and grow and develop. And we are just so excited about what that may look like, and how that what we're doing in Dothan can be a model for everywhere else, and how science, authentic science, and school systems can come together in a really powerful way. Teacher professional development starting now as well. The out of school class student experiences, things like field trips and summer camps. Right now we have a space problem, right? That will get over time as we have additional space where we can offer those things. Those will come online in year 2 or on, as well as the student internships and that kind of thing. That is all to say that we are just so excited to be here. That Hudson Alpha is we're not a franchise. We are, Huntsville is the only place Hudson Alpha's been. And so this is all new, this is exciting, and we are just getting started, but really excited about what we have to do in front of us to both help from the research capacity and helping develop peanut varieties, to really working towards increasing the ag tech business space of the community here. And then from my team, being able to come alongside, get to know your communities, get to know you, get to share our excitement about genetics and biotechnology, and really create opportunities for the students here to get excited about it and ultimately be prepared to step into the jobs that are going to be coming down the pipe. So with that, this is my contact information. I wanted to put this up there so that you guys know you can certainly use that. There's also our social media handles as well if you're not following us. We'd love for you to, so we can share all the things that are happening over the next few months. And I'm happy to take any questions that you guys might have.
How does this program fit into the academic programs? We already have prescribed programs for elementary, high school, and of course, universities. How does this program, is it an independent coming in to wedge in, or is it sponsored by the State Department of Education, or how does it fit in?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is how do we fit in with the stated curriculums? Is this something extra that is supplemental, or does this intersect with it? And so we are working very hard so that the interactions that we are having with the students, that we're going to be expecting teachers to have with students, that they fit alongside the prescribed course of study, of thinking about how can we use seed biology and peanut life cycle and the genetics of a peanut. How can we use that to have conversations and instruct the students that meet those course of study objectives in a unique way that's very centered in things that are really important to the community here. So it's a fantastic question, and something that we are very cognizant of, that schools and teachers have finite amounts of time with their students, and that we need to for sure be anchoring what we do in the things that students need to be learning. Yeah.
Welcome to Dothan. I'm excited about you being here. What will be or is your relationship with the Wiregrass Experimenting Station? Looks like you're going in the same direction. Gonna work together? Can you just comment on that?
Sure. Is that extension? Yeah. Yeah. So we have a great relationship with them. And Josh Clevenger, our faculty that I was mentioning, is good friends with Chris at the extension over at Headland. And so we've got a great relationship with them. I know there have been conversations about certain amounts of land that they're going to let us use for planting and doing field trials and that kind of thing. I know they're excited that Chris is excited about getting students and having that a way of being able to mentor and bring in high school and college students more into what he's doing as well. So I think it's a win-win for both of those groups. Yeah.
I just want to say how excited I am. You guys are here, and seeing what we all know this area loving, excited about this new place that you got. But mine is the fast forward of you ladies, your story, and that you get to stay here. I have a 10th grader that about probably just a few months before I had never heard of HudsonAlpha. Of course, had absolutely no idea HudsonAlpha was planning to come to Dothan at that time. But she started, showing this interest in the plants. And of course, in my mind, I think farmer, and I was like, I don't know how to go over there. And but it wasn't the planting or growing; it was the DNA that she was more interested in. And so, in meeting with one of our people, tech director, he said, well, there's HudsonAlpha in Huntsville, and of course, Mama's heart goes, I really would like her to stay home. Well, then along comes this. So it is exciting to have that kind of experience and know that something's coming. And of course, you were very integral in my sister actually brought her to Huntsville, and she was able to tour the HudsonAlpha plant there. And it's exactly what you're trying to say. It lit a fire in her. Yeah. And now she's more excited now than ever. So I'm very excited to see what her future will hold.
I'm so glad. And it really is all three of those pieces that if we came down here and we're just working on education type projects, but there wasn't the research in the industry coming with it, that would be great, but it would not be nearly as powerful as what is being built now, where through all of that, those opportunities are now going to be there for students, whether they're wanting to do agricultural research or work in ag tech, or even, she's really, really passionate about plants. Not everybody is. I'm a human health person, is where I come from a profession. And at the same time that what we're teaching students and we're learning about how DNA of plants affect traits, the same can get translated into humans and thinking about health and disease risk. And so our hope is that this is a nice book that's very grounded in community important economy, but the concepts there are translatable kind of across the spectrum. Yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
What is the funding source for Hudson Alpha
For Hudson Alpha as a whole or Hudson Alpha Wiregrass?
as a whole?
As a whole? That's a great question. So Hudson Alpha, we are a nonprofit entity, and funding comes from a variety of places, which is actually really important to us, that we have a diverse set of funding mechanisms. So a few of those are grants. So all of the faculty pictures that I showed up there, they are very busy all the time writing large-scale grants to things like the NIH, the NSF, the Department of Energy, right? So that is one major funding stream. Another funding mechanism is through tenant rent. So the slide I showed that had all of those company logos, those tenant companies pay rent to Hudson Alpha, so that's another funding mechanism. We do get funding from the state of Alabama, specifically for education and the things that we do in education. We have a funding that comes every year from the state's education budget that helps with offering field trip opportunities free of cost to schools, offering teacher professional development. Those types of things are funded through the state. We also have philanthropic, we have an advancement team that works really hard on philanthropic asks and building those relationships as well. So there's a variety of different ways that we get funding at Hudson Alpha, but we are a nonprofit institute ourselves and are always looking for new opportunities. Yeah. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Kelly. Very interesting. Let's all stand and do the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?